Hello and welcome. I'm Ian Unger.
And I'm Logan Flaming.
And together we host the Ultimate Fan Podcast, the show where the greatest fans discuss the greatest in entertainment across the universe. And today the greatest entertainment is Ant-Man.
What's great comes in small sizes sometimes. Like Yoda.
Man, you got the pun before I did.
I did. I circumvented the pun.
Yeah. We have plenty of small puns in this.
Now, see,
we have some puny jokes here and there.
Puny God. Nope. Keep moving.
Some punny, like it's punny but puny, like the letters are it's spelled the same. Also with us tonight, we have a couple of friends, a couple of special guests.
Well, one's more than a friend.
Yeah, we've already been over this.
Let's talk about our relationship.
Yeah. It's time to air out all the dirty laundry.
So tonight we have Aaron and Cassie with us. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
Happy to be here.
If you can't tell which one's Cassie and which one's Aaron,
it's hard too these days.
Yeah.
We just...
Okay.
I don't know what to go with that.
Well...
Let's talk about Ant-Man.
I'm trying to come up with more jokes.
I know. I've been trying to think of puns all the way here, but I guess I'm just going to have to...
I can't think of Auntie.
If you're... No.
So let's talk about first impressions. Your first time. If this is the first episode of our podcast that somebody listens to,
they're like, I'm turning this off right now. This is like the first season of The Office.
Please do not.
Please keep going.
What
it gets better.
Doing?
I saw it first time in the theater.
Yeah?
I went with my sister Gracie, and
really,
yeah, we biked down. I'm from Bend, Oregon originally, and we biked down to the old mill and watched it at the
Literally
Regal
just
movie
pictured
theater.
that whole bike ride in my head.
And then we biked back and we talked about it all the way on our bikes. We talked about how sad we were when Anthony dies. Spoilers.
Yeah, did you cry?
I did. I shed actual
Really?
tears the first time I saw it. I'm pretty sure. Shed a tear for Anthony.
I said this when we were watching the movie. I love that I care more about a CGI ant in this movie than I care about Superman's death in BVS.
Who is not CGI.
Shots
He's
fired.
Very
Like the
sad.
shots that were fired at Anthony.
And that took his life. He was gone too soon, even though he probably had a lifespan of 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. They never talk
Do you ever-
about that
do you ever-
in this
yeah,
movie.
Do you ever think about that?
I think about the
He was
ant
just
at the
born
end of the
before
movie.
that.
Like that's like her pet, like new dog. It's like Cassie's like pet or new dog.
Yeah.
and that ant's gonna die in like a week.
But does making it bigger,
the change
like-
does the molecular change enable it
I would
to
say
live longer?
I don't think so.
Goes to
because
regular
it,
dog
it'll
years.
have a harder
I think
time
so.
supporting itself.
That's like what I was saying about the whole quantum zone thing. I think that
Quantum Realm.
I think that Hank Pym's wife. What is her name?
It's why Janet Van Dyne.
There we go.
Of
Yeah,
course.
there we go.
Janet.
Jeanette.
No.
Janet.
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 When you read comics, but you never heard the comic name pronounced that loud.
I know. I should have known her name too from comics, but
You know it's Janet.
it was just buried in the archives, man.
Lost in the quantum
stuff like
realm.
Fantastic Four is closer to the top for me. I can't sift through. Hank Pym and Ant-Man are like lower on my list. They're at the bottom of the stack. They're at the back of the long box. You know what I'm saying?
I'm following that one. Speaking
So
of
the
long
quantum
boxes,
zone-
I filled my first long box this week.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Congrats, man.
You got another one. I
High
saw that.
five.
It was amazing.
I was so happy for you.
Applause.
No, but I was gonna say, I think that I think she might, if we get an appearance from her, like because isn't that space out of time?
We're getting an appearance
time
for
and
her.
space.
Sharon Stone is cast as Janet Van Dyne in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Is she young or old? I don't know who
She's
Sharon
older.
Stone is.
She's older. She started in like a famous 80s movie.
Is she
with
Michael Douglas old? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
She's Michael Douglas old.
Yeah.
But so does that
That's
mean
how you
she's
know
just
you're
been
old.
aging in this like space? Anyways, for Aaron, what was your first experience like?
You know, so you guys are going to be disappointed in me, but I didn't see this one in theaters.
I'm not
Right.
that
It was 2
disappointed.
years ago, and I didn't see it in
A
theaters.
lot of people
Like,
didn't.
I'd been going.
But a
Yeah,
lot of people
it's
were
kind
wrong.
of. Oh, it was 3 years ago, 2015. Yeah, I remember I was working at Chick-fil-A and everyone was talking about it.
Sick.
But I didn't see it because I was just kind of like a lot of people. I was
Busy
like,
grilling that chicken.
yeah, exactly. I was frying it. I wasn't.
But you
grilling
had a
it.
day off on Sunday and you didn't go see it.
I know, right? I just wasn't. I wasn't impressed by it. Like just from what I saw, I was like,
Actually-
Ant-Man, you know, it didn't stand out to me.
Aaron, I think I might be with you on that. I think this
Really?
might have been the first.
Wait, you didn't see this in theaters either?
Yeah, I think this might have been the
Wow.
first Marvel film I didn't see in a theater.
Whoa.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
y'all
though.
crazy.
That's a lot
No,
of people,
no.
though.
I'm pretty sure. I was working at 2015. I was working at Aldersgate at this camp over the summer, and I didn't have like a car, and I just wasn't. Same thing happened. Was X-Men Apocalypse the same year?
No,
That was the next year.
Was it Days of Future Past?
Days of Future
That was the year
Days
before.
of Future Past was 2014.
Yeah.
Oh, but those were the 2 years. Those are the 2 years though that I was working at this camp, and like it's the same thing both times. Where like I wanted to go see it, but I didn't have like people around me that also wanted to go see it, and I didn't have a car to like get into town to go. So like I just kind of was like, well,
But you would have though if you could.
yeah, I probably
Our reasoning
would
was
have.
different. I just didn't
Yeah,
go.
but I
just
just
because.
was like, well, I'll catch it like eventually.
Yeah.
And I think I wasn't so upset about it. Like I knew it wasn't like an Avengers, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't remember my first viewing experience other than it must have been on DVD. It was probably at my parents' house.
Yeah, I remember loving it on DVD though. I was bummed I didn't see it.
I remember
in
when you
theaters
actually
because
got
it
around
was
to
so much
watching
fun.
it, Aaron. Like
Yeah.
you were so stoked on this movie.
Was that here? Was I here at New Hope?
Yeah, that was here at New Hope.
Okay, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was so funny. It
I
was a standout.
remember being really stoked about it, like biking away. Gracie and I were both like, that was super fun. Like, it was really great. Like, we really loved Scott, and, you know, we were really excited about Wasp and all that. And, yeah, we were just like, yeah, we were really impressed. And then, like, we never saw it again, and nobody really talked about it a lot. Like,
There's
after
not
that.
a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a huge impact on the rest of the universe at this point.
Almost
even
none.
though I think it's kind of funny because Hank Pym like talks about how much his research has like an impact on everything
And
else.
his like Hank Pym's role as Ant-Man too.
Yeah.
Like,
And I
had
think
a big impact on the formation of the universe.
exact. I think stuff like
Not
Captain
the formation
Marvel,
of the grand universe,
no,
but the Marvel Cinematic.
Yeah.
I think
In the beginning, there was Ant-Man.
his stuff in Captain Marvel, or I think movies like that and like the next Ant-Man movie will bring all of that more into play, especially after his appearance in Civil War. People are going to be like, so Tony Stark's going to be all over that. Like, what is this guy? Like, you know,
Yeah.
or he's going to
If
be
he's
too
not-
busy dying.
If he's not dead.
Oh my gosh.
Hashtag
Yeah.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is going to take place before Infinity War.
It's gotta, right?
It has
It's
to.
gotta.
The world looks too put
Yeah,
together.
we were talking about that
Yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks too
yeah,
put together
Aaron and I
for
were
a
talking about that, like-
Infinity War world.
Anyways,
coming out in July.
enough Infinity War Logan.
Speculation. So,
Speculation?
like Cassie, I was a true fan and saw this movie in theaters.
Hey, all right.
That'll preach.
You guys
opening
can,
night.
Ultimate fans, you can comment below if you saw it in theaters or not. I don't know if
think
there
we're
was
alone.
a ton of hype for this movie. Age of Ultron had just come out. There was
Yeah.
mixed reviews for that. I think people were kind of like
It's sandwiched
here and
between
there.
such great Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't stand out. And
I do remember liking the promotional stuff though a lot, both the trailers and like
Trailers are great.
I loved the poster where it's just like this huge white thing, and then you just see like him ant size.
Yep.
And I love how they did that again for Ant-Man and the
For
Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp,
But
yeah.
They just
Yeah.
added Wasp.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's so great.
it's
Yeah.
so brilliant.
I saw it in Iowa with our friend
Oh,
Adam.
right.
I was on tour in Iowa. We were going to play church like the next day, and everyone was just like, "You're going to go out and see this movie? It's not even going to be good." I'm like, "You guys, you all like Avengers, right? You've seen all these Marvel movies, right? Can you at least trust that the
There
brand
just wasn't a
brings
lot
certain
of
level of quality?"
anticipation.
Oh, that
There
was a
we
good one.
go.
That
You're
was
welcome.
good.
All right.
Now we're bringing the
Oh.
goal. We're warmed up. Let it begin. But no, I went and saw it, had a blast, like got back to where I was staying at like 1 a.m. But it was so worth it. It was like an empty theater. It was me and my friend Adam, and it was so much fun. I love this movie.
yeah.
All the love.
I think. How do you guys feel about it after we just watched it? How do you feel tonight?
I don't love it as much as my first viewing,
Yeah.
but I still really enjoy it. And the highlights still remain the highlights for me. And like the
other
rest of the movie just kind of like
Yeah.
it dwindles a little bit on replay value for the reasons that I'll talk about.
Yeah.
later
Yeah, I
on.
think I kind of feel the same. It was really fun upon first viewing, and there's a lot of, kind of like new stuff. The jokes are funny, they land well, but there's not a lot of substance, if you'll pardon my pun. Okay, guys. As I was saying, there isn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That
Anyways,
just clicked.
my puns are just too good.
No. I'm tracking with you.
There isn't, and
It's a simple
think
movie,
that's
and I think that's
it
okay.
is.
It's
and I think
uncomplicated.
that's kind of why I'm kind of okay seeing it once and then, like I don't feel an overwhelming need to see it multiple times over and over.
Yeah, when I'm in the mood to watch a Marvel movie, this isn't the one I'm going to pick up.
Yeah.
And
But
that's okay.
yeah.
And it's honestly kind of a relief and a breath of fresh air after how complicated and how stuffed Age of Ultron is.
Yeah, and other like Civil War too, and just like other films. I think are I would almost put this in because I think Doctor Strange is also a little bit like more kind of heady or a little complicated.
But it's the story in that is still relatively straightforward as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I would almost put this in the ballpark of like Thor Ragnarok, but maybe just a couple steps lower in terms of quality.
Oh, I would put it way lower than Thor
No,
Ragnarok.
I'm not talking about. I just mean if I want to pick a Marvel movie that I don't have to feel like I'm investing.
That you're not going to I'm going to take a step into this universe and think of all these different things. Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok is a fun ride, and I think that this
yeah.
is a fun ride.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I agree.
You still love it?
I still love it. It's looking at my ranking. It's all I'm going to say is it stayed in the same spot. I won't tell you where yet, but it stayed
I
in
think
the same
mine might
spot for
shift
me.
a little bit.
You think so? Yeah. It stayed in the same spot for me. I love the humor. It's fun. It's uncomplicated plot compared to the other stuff. And like you guys said, if you get really stressed out from all the rest of the universe and all the crazy stuff going on, it's fun to come back to this and kind of have a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It's just fun and it's simple. Got a great message, great story behind it.
Yeah,
a
I
lot
love
of power in
the family.
the family aspect.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, and kind of just the whole thing where turning your life around, becoming a better person. It's all good.
Yeah.
I think. Pretty similar to what you were saying, Logan. I enjoy it. When I first saw this movie, I think one of the things about not seeing it in the theaters was I didn't just have hype going in, and I remember the first time I saw it, I felt like the good and the bad together, and I remember other people probably you being one of them telling me how stoked I should be to watch it and how excited I
I
should be.
feel like I was the flag bearer for this movie, and still kind of are.
But I watched it and I was I didn't feel meh. I enjoyed it, but I was also it's not the greatest Marvel movie yet to come.
The first thing I said when I walked out of this movie was, "Man, I like that way more than Age of Ultron."
I don't like it more than Age of Ultron.
I don't
But
either.
I think it's
They're right next to each other.
I
for
don't
me.
think it's a better movie.
No.
I think it is.
It's not more exciting than
Really?
Age of Ultron. I don't
We'll talk
think.
about
There's
plot,
so much in that movie,
and we'll get into. So let's get into the movie. Let's walk through it. Let's tiptoe through the grass.
Prologue time.
Let's tunnel our way through.
Let's talk about that 80s Triskelion getting
Yeah.
built.
Oof.
And
I'm down with that.
Getting to see Iron Man 2 era,
Yeah.
Howard Stark, getting to see
Down with all of it. Haley Atwell reprising
Yep.
Margaret
as a little
Thatcher
bit
looking
older.
Haley Atwell.
Oh, Margaret. Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I will say, this is I think one of the first, well, no, I think Tron Legacy was the first time I saw the de-aging effect with CGI, but we all know how bad that looked. This was the best time I've seen it.
Ken Dahl, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. This is the best I think I've ever seen the de-aging effect.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Michael Douglas
With
looked just
a
like
second,
he did in
with
Wall Street.
a really close second place to Blade Runner 2049.
What
But
about
this
what about
movie
Guardians
looks so
2?
good. What's the de-aging in Guardians 2? Oh, Kurt Russell?
yeah, Kurt
He
Russell.
looks good, but it doesn't dwell on his face.
That's
Yeah.
true.
and
You don't
really
spend
show
tons of
off
time
the
there.
effects that
Yeah.
this movie does.
Yeah, I agree.
It's solid.
Yeah.
What about Tony Stark? Very next film.
I think this looks way better than Tony.
I think you're right too.
Yeah. Tony's,
Also-
Yeah, I don't
Tony's
think
face
Tony
in
looks
Civil
good in
War
that one.
looks way plasticky.
Also,
looks-
because they're not
yeah.
just trying to take out wrinkles; they're trying to make him look like
Like a teenager.
I
yeah.
always thought that looked bad overall.
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Like,
look
I
good.
love that
I
scene.
I don't
buy
like that.
it.
It
It
doesn't
does what it needs to do.
It does what it needs to do, but it doesn't look nearly as good as young
No,
Michael
it
Douglas
does
does
not.
in this.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's great that even in such a brief amount of time, we get such a feel for their characters, for the dynamic, and even
Well,
though it's-
particularly
Where he
Hank.
sits in the universe
yeah.
as well.
Well, and just the dynamic between the four of them. I think we see a lot in a very little amount of time, and it
And I'll
impresses me.
always take more Peggy.
Yeah.
I know, right?
All we can get.
Yes.
On the other side of that, though, I was thinking about it after we watched it, and I was like, I mean, I know it gets explained, everything gets explained later, but if I was like your average fan walking into that movie and I saw that prologue, and even as like a real fan, I think for people who know
Real
Hank
fan.
Pym, for people who know Ant-Man and the comics and everything, you're like, oh, it's Hank. Oh, it's Howard Stark. Oh my gosh, it's Peggy.
And then there's a guy we have no idea who he is, but he looks like an 80s villain.
He's a guy there for Hank to smash his head into the desk. That's what he's there for. He doesn't even do anything like later in the film.
Yeah,
does
he
he get
does.
shot?
Yeah, he does.
He has a
He comes-
dramatic entrance.
Yeah. He's there to
dramatic
buy
helicopter.
the weapon, but
Yeah.
like, does he do anything?
No, not really.
Does he get
there-
shot?
Does
he get a
dies,
dramatic
right?
ending?
He doesn't
I think
do
he must
anything.
die.
I think he dies. I don't
He
remember.
must get
honestly.
shot.
In that like fast action sequence where they're taking out all
Because
the guys in the
then-
room?
Then what's his shows? The villain immediately goes and like takes
Gets in his helicopter.
Darren Cross.
Yeah, Darren Cross immediately goes
And he's
and
not
takes
in
his
there.
helicopter, which I'm guessing he would not be fine with if
Forgettable.
he were alive.
Forgettable.
Yeah, we don't even remember.
Anyways,
This is how much we
but-
care.
So like, there's a lot
It
of.
provides the character moment for Hank.
I like the character moment for Hank, and I think that's really good.
Yeah.
But like all the conversation that they have is like, it's just kind of like talk. I can't believe you guys did this. Blah, we did. And then like when he leaves, and they're all like, "Don't tell him that we already did it." And but like, I don't think any of that actually plays out or matters like in the movie.
Yeah, but we get a feel for who Hank Pym
Yeah.
is.
I think
His
that's
legacy
the most
as the
important.
Ant-Man. Instead of just if you just heard about his legacy in the Ant-Man, and like you didn't get to see kind of the politics behind it,
Yeah.
you would care less. You understand it
you're
more
right.
because of it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's cool. And
It
it's-
is cool. I love seeing the like mid-construction Triskelion.
Yeah, it's rad.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing about comic book movies? That they be cool.
That is.
That is the number one
Well,
rule.
yeah.
True.
As long as it's cool.
That's not the most important rule.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering.
That's why the Bruce like Clark battle in Batman vs Superman isn't fun because it's not cool.
It looks cool, but it's not. Anyways, do you have anything to say
might do
about
that
that opening?
sometime.
I can't
Aaron?
wait until we
Or-
get to talk about DC movies.
I'd say you guys mostly covered what I was going to say as
Yeah.
well. So,
So let's move right
In
along.
a present day, we're going to prison.
We go into prison. I was just gonna
Yes.
say, yeah. I love Scott Lang's opening. I love that.
I love the play on the like it being the serious thing, and then it turns out to be this
Yeah.
fun.
That's the
Which is
whole
kind
tone
of
of
the
the
whole
movie.
then we know who
movie.
Scott Lang
Yeah.
is.
That's
yeah.
it.
We know he's a fun
That's
guy.
what the
Yeah,
movie is.
I also like that
He's
we
not
don't
a bad
we don't
guy.
need to see
Yeah.
like we don't need to see like months of him in prison, even in a montage. We just get this one moment, and that like shows us like kind of sums up his time in prison.
Low key wish Morgan Freeman was in there though.
What
Shawshank
As-
Redemption.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wish
He's
that
gotta be-
Morgan
yeah,
Freeman
yeah.
were in every
Do the
movie.
voiceover.
But
True.
yeah, I think just overall, I really like just and I'm just blanking on his name again. I know him.
Ant-Man?
No, the actor. Yeah, the
Paul
guy.
Rudd.
Paul Rudd.
All red.
Paul
I know him
Rudd.
from Friends. Know and
Yeah.
love.
Perks of being a wallflower.
Yeah.
I forgot
Clueless.
that he was in that movie.
Gee. Yeah.
He's the English teacher that we all wish we had.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think
I don't know. Edge of 17. Shoot, I know
Oh,
that
yeah.
actor's name.
Yeah.
Oh, why are we all blinking on him?
Oh my
He's,
Come on.
he's Haymitch.
Come on.
In Hunger
Woody
Games.
Harrelson.
Woody
Oh,
Harrelson.
what? Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
I'll
Mitch.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, slightly less like good from a moral
I had
standpoint.
that teacher
but
in high school. I actually did.
He actually looks more like what a high school teacher would look
That's
like.
what I'm
Not
saying.
Paul Rudd.
Like, I had
Paul
that
Rudd's
teacher.
way too good looking.
Anyways, getting back to the movie that we're talking about, I really like Paul Rudd's characterization of like Scott Lang, and I think that as like from an acting standpoint, I think he does a really good job of playing the dad element, but he also has like almost like a cocky assurance like in his walk that's sort of
Yeah.
like youthful and cocky and edgy, and like he wears a hoodie,
He has life.
and he lives in the hood, and because like so I think you see like this and I think it's great because he looks like a dad, but then he brings this element of like he's also like a cat burglar.
Well,
And
he's
I
been
think
on
He's
the
also
streets,
awkward
yeah.
like a dad, too.
yeah, and I think it just
And his
brings
sense of humor.
just that contrast between like the cool, like his coolness and his ability and his like he is competent as at like what he does at like being Ant-Man and being a cat burglar.
Yeah.
But he also is just a total dork, and I think that contrast really brings a lot to the movie, and like I think like Paul Rudd's characterization really sells it.
Yeah, and I think like even though we get tons of exposition and whatever, for him we just see he's a smart guy. Like the whole first scene where he's breaking into Hank Pym's house, like we see how resourceful he is, how like agile, and like he's just good at what he does. But he's just like naming off all these facts from history. He knows like what type of safe that is and what it's made out of, and like
he was the smart kid in high school.
Yeah, he was totally smart. He just got into like the wrong kind of
He
crowd.
has his
and,
master's in engineering.
yeah. He's like, he is a brilliant guy. And the whole time, you know, we kind of bash on the exposition, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. Like, but like the whole time Hank is just feeding him all this like sciencey stuff. At the end, he's just like, yeah, okay, I got it. And then like moves on. While the audience is like, what?
And also,
Ant-Man, he's back.
but like him being a dad and just how he carries himself and just the character Scotland sets himself apart from all the other heroes in the MCU.
Yeah.
He's very individual and very much his own thing.
Nobody
which
else
is why
has a
it's-
kid.
Which is why
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye does.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
secret.
Which
family.
is why it's so much fun bringing him into the Avengers in Civil War. Because he's such a different character and he brings such a different dynamic to the
I mean,
to the
Tony
team.
probably has a kid. So.
Yeah, somewhere. We don't know about that
They've
one.
they've paid for that though. They've hushed that up. I like seeing him in different settings. Like at the beginning of the film, you'll have like a scene where he's at like Cassie's birthday party, and you see him interacting with her and just how much of a dad he is, and figuring out all these family dynamics. And then he goes home to where he's hanging out with a bunch of not gangsters, but like criminals.
Yeah.
And I love how like you were saying,
good-natured criminals.
yes, but they have like a street respect for him. Like they believe he's like good at what he does.
Because they're all kind of idiots.
Yeah,
And he's the smart guy.
Yeah.
And all the idiots need the smart guy to look
need a
good.
leader.
to pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're all pretty good at what they do.
Yeah. Towards
But
the
they're
end,
The
all so
driver
idiots.
evades the cop successfully. He just happens to press the horn, you know? And like the like Russian guy
Idiots.
totally does all the hacking he needs to do. And I always forget
Michael Pena's character?
Michael
Luis.
Pena's character.
Luis.
He totally nails it on infiltrating the like
Dude, he punches so many people.
Yeah.
And it's like a one punch
and it's just
every
chill
time.
about it.
Yeah, it's like he's punching stormtroopers.
Also, is he just like a secretly really refined person? If you notice in his little like
Yes.
montage stories, it's like a wine tasting
Yep.
and then like
he's
an
in
art
like
gallery.
all these like exotic, like ritzy settings.
And he has
It's
like
awesome.
taste in like wine
He's like, I
and
was looking
art.
at this one thing and
was
I didn't
the
really
bad.
like it. Like, it was so bad, bro.
And he likes his waffles. He knows stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of waffle
He
eating.
has
in
a
this movie.
refined palate.
I love the way how we're introduced to Luis
Yeah.
right towards the beginning of the film. Like he's the one who picks up Scott. We get the whole line about his van. The van is a character in this movie, and I love that.
Yeah, I love all the jokes. I like how like Scott is introduced. We have that really serious opening with Hank Pym. Scott is introduced, and it's just this is the tone of the movie, and it's this balance of like really difficult real life scenarios,
Dramatic, like family stuff that you can relate
like
to.
actually, yeah, like split up families
And science.
Everybody's familiar with that, yeah, and sciencey stuff and like the tech, but then like just like there's humor in all that because there has to be.
And I think the movie does that really well. It does an excellent job of balancing all the, proper elements of like a comic book movie, etc., and balancing the humor. I think the humor is really well done. Like,
Yeah, this movie has a very like nuanced and consistent tone throughout.
Yeah.
And it does a very good job of like keeping that tone.
it's spot on.
Yeah, it's able to be comedic but still dramatic and not at the expense of the dramatic.
Yeah, I think if there's any wrinkles with that, it might be the villain. Some of his scenes where they like focus on him, but
Yeah, let's get into Darren.
I was actually gonna say Cassie first.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about Cassie.
because we kind of have this opening scene where he goes to her birthday
I love
party.
the birthday party scene.
What do you guys think about Cassie?
She's cute as frick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she has a great sense of humor. And
Like
Totally.
definitely, yeah.
that actress
Oh,
is like
Yeah,
she
she
is
does great at that role. Yeah.
incredible.
She's so
she-
good.
she
and
has
I love the
personality.
whole bit with like the ugly bunny. She's like, it's so
Yeah.
ugly. I love it.
I think my
Personality.
favorite Cassie moment is when what's the stepdad's name or he's her
Paxton?
fiance Baxton.
Yeah, let's talk
Paxton.
about Paxton.
I love the
Paxton,
dad
like Bill
rivalry.
Paxton.
But I love the scene where she's like she's like, "Are you looking for my dad?" He's like, "Yeah, we're looking for your dad." And she's like, "I hope you don't catch him." And then she just like looks
It's
at
so
him.
good.
That's
like,
my favorite part of hers.
So
Yeah.
good.
How do we feel about Paxton?
He does
I do like him.
exactly what he is supposed to do in this
Not a
movie.
very good cop.
He's incompetent
I
at the
disagree.
beginning. I think he's a great guy.
He tries.
a poor police officer.
It's a
Every-
questionable
What point
cop
did he
They let
decision.
afford-
their car get stolen.
They just left it in.
They didn't lock it. They
were
didn't
doing-
take the keys.
They were doing their job.
No.
What?
Doing their job would be not letting their car get stolen.
I mean, I don't know
also
what
not
police
leaving the
policy
guys
is.
the two guys they just arrested on the street
Yeah.
with no handcuffs.
Okay, because a
Unwrapped.
building was about to explode.
So you just
They didn't know
a couple
that.
moments. You handcuff them, secure them, and then go take care of the problem. Takes 5 seconds.
That's what a good cop would do.
It's fair.
Yeah,
It's fair. But he does try.
he does try, and
if
he's
you're
a
a
good
cop,
natured guy.
comment and tell us. Like,
Yeah.
Paxton, good or no?
Yeah,
Good cop.
good cop. Can we
Good cop
trust
or
him?
bad cop?
Is he incompetent?
He's a little bit of both in this movie, actually.
I love how this movie plays with like our expectations of Paxton.
How
How we hate it. We were supposed to hate him in the beginning, but then we eventually like grow to respect and
Yeah.
like appreciate him and what he does for Cassie and the whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that
And
they
we get
didn't
that
just
journey with Scott.
They didn't just cast him as like a tool, as like the jerk.
He's more
Like-
nuanced. He's not a
Yeah,
caricature.
He's
Yeah.
he's a real person. And yeah, I think that was a good choice on their part.
I like Paxton. Putting my flag on the ground.
What do you think, Aaron?
I like Paxton as well. I definitely think that he's more nuanced than that. He's not just like a character who's a jerk the whole way through. And you
Yeah,
grow to
yeah.
like him. I grew to like him throughout the movie. I didn't like him at first, but you grow to like him.
Yeah, I don't like at the beginning how he's just so after Scott. Like,
I don't think, I mean, this isn't really that important to the movie itself, but I don't think that he is just after Scott. He's, first of all, doing his job, and second of all, he legitimately thinks he's doing what's best for Cassie, which, from a practical standpoint, he probably is.
Totally. Yeah. I'm all behind Paxton. He just doesn't
All the way.
But
100%.
he doesn't have all the like the keys to the puzzle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's not clued into everything that the audience and the viewer is.
Yeah. And he's just way too antsy to get at Scott.
No. Don't stop trying to make it happen.
So
Let's talk about Baskin
Heist.
Robbins.
Yeah,
What?
Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, that Baskin Robbins scene was awesome.
Classic. I love his
Welcome to
little
Baskin Robbins.
boss. Also, like, what Baskin Robbins has an office for their manager like that?
Maybe they all do.
I don't know. I never worked at Baskin Robbins. Don't
I
judge.
don't know. I worked at like some like, you know, restaurant chain, like, you know, corporate chains, and the manager sits at like a desk tucked behind a wall that the
Oh,
customers
yeah.
can't
That's
see.
how
I'll
it's been at
say
both places
you
I've
worked
worked.
at Papa Murphy's.
Yeah.
And nowhere else.
Papa Murphy's is like the pizza equivalent of Baskin Robbins.
I will just say that this looked like a legit Baskin Robbins, so I'm not one to question.
I
how
have
they
worked at
choose to build
several
it.
restaurants, and usually the managerial situation, office-wise, varies.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So I think
That
In
is
my
true. That is
I
true.
think
professional
we're
opinion.
okay
Yeah, that's
with
my experience as
the
well.
layout of this Baskin Robbins.
That office is way too big.
It
It's
just
taking up too
it
much
ruins
space.
the movie.
For Baskin Robbins, yes.
I've been
That's
in a
too much
lot of
space.
Baskin Robbins. None of them are that big. Anyways,
But
Have you ever tried like the Mango Blast or whatever it's called?
no.
Now I want to.
Now, yeah, we should
really
all go
want
get
to.
Mango Blast.
About
After
to go
this
get.
Yeah.
I'm down.
I really want to.
No,
Maybe
I got
want that.
We
We all
gotta
have
get
to
up
wake
early.
up.
We have to
tomorrow,
get up
yeah.
early.
I don't even think there is one in Eugene, is there?
don't
Baskin
know.
Robbins. I've never seen one.
That's a good question.
I've never
Anyways,
seen one.
Baskin Robbins.
Let's talk
never-
about
They
the
always find
break
out.
into Hank Pym's house. I think that's the next big
That's
thing.
super fun. I love the Titanic reference.
Yeah.
Killed DiCaprio.
Or did we
Killed
get
everyone.
did we get Hank Pym going
Nah.
to the corporation before that? Did we get the
Yeah,
villain
but
introduced before
We can
that?
just lump all that in with our villain talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
the heist is fun, and I like how him not being able to find a job like puts him in the place to become like a criminal and villain again.
Yeah.
Not villain, but just a criminal again.
Yeah.
And because I think it's relatable. I think a lot
I
of
think
people
it's a
like
very real
when you get out of prison,
situation,
it's hard for people to find like a good
Yeah.
job, and there's a temptation to go back to that life, and it's cool that we see Scott like fail.
Yeah.
And because it gives him more to rise up against
Yeah.
by not choosing to do that, go down that path again.
And I think we, as the audience, feel the struggle because we see him going through it, and like we know he's a good guy. We know he's just trying to do the right thing, and he even thinks like this job's not that big a deal. It's like foolproof, right? And we'll just get in, get some money. Like this is an old guy; he's probably not going to need it, and then I'll be able to get like a real job, you know.
Well, and it's clear, like the stakes are very clear because in the scene at Cassie's birthday party, his ex-wife tells him, like, get a job, get an apartment, then we'll talk about visitation. So it's clear that the stakes are
He has motive.
his daughter. So that's what he's after. Is he's like, if I can if I can
motive.
get this score, if I can get some money, then I can finally like have access and like be a good dad.
Yeah. But like Hank actually says he has a line in one of their conversations shortly after that. I think it's when he's in the jail or like in the interrogation room with him, where he's like when things go bad, you turn back to crime, and he's like, or when things get hard, you turn back to crime.
Yeah, and I love that. I love how Hank challenges him in that moment.
Yeah,
be better.
I really like it.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Hank? Get your own emotions in line. Anyways, anything else? What do you like? Best heist scene of the movie?
You like that over like the ending?
No,
heist?
but I
Okay.
do like seeing Scott just on his own.
I love that we
figuring
get
stuff
to.
out.
I love that we get to see like, okay, this guy does have like a master's in mechanical engineering, so just hearing about it, and then also we get to see just his skills as a cat burglar.
Yeah. I'll
Instead
say
of just hearing about it.
I'll say the biggest problem I have with that scene, even though you get the little foreshadow of the tank keychain, is grabbing a set of keys that are on like a hallway table, and then those keys, like first off, just being in such an obvious location, and then secondly, just happening that one of those keys opens the door that you're trying to get
That
into.
I have a
does
question.
not seem.
That's super easy.
I have
That
a
does
question
not
about
seem
the
that
tank. I've got a question about the tank. So, when things are small, right?
Yeah.
They have this. They're the same weight.
Yeah.
They're the same weight as they
Yeah.
would be if they were big. Correct.
Yeah.
I think no.
Yes.
I don't think so
Wait,
either
what?
because Ant-Man's like running on someone's gun. If like you had a full man running on your gun, it'd be like, it would
Yeah.
like fall
I
to the
guess that's
ground.
true.
Yeah. But at the
I
same
didn't
I'm
think about that.
confused, but they
'Cause
if
then he
you
can
hit
punch.
something, it has like the same amount of weight as if you were big. So how does that all apply to the tank? Help me out here. I've never understood this.
I don't know, but I'm sure if we ask the interwebs, they would have a lot of things
Yeah,
to
I'm
say
sure there's a
about it.
Reddit thread that would help explain all this. But see, like
never thought of that.
that's always like
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
That always
because there's
confused
just
me.
like a quick bit of dialogue where I think it's like either Wasp or Hank Pym. Oh, Hope is her name. One of them says like why his punches hurt more, but I can't remember like at all. Whatever.
yeah, it's just
She just
confusing.
said you gotta know how to punch. That
Yeah.
was my takeaway.
Yeah. Well, that was probably my favorite part of that. So jumping ahead kind of to the training sequence. Well, hold on, I love the breakout of backing up even further. I love it when Ant-Man tries to
He
put on
puts
the
on the
suit.
suit,
Not Ant-Man, but Scott tries to put on the suit and he's like falling through the
Yeah.
roof and all that stuff.
And everything
That's
happens.
super fun.
It's a cool way to get to like for a hero.
I was just backing up. Backing up.
We had just back.
I like it so different than like all the other superhero origins we've seen, where you get Iron Man who's like trying to do this, and so he like builds a suit and is like figuring it out because he wants to, and then like Spider-Man who like just suddenly has powers and he's like, oh, this is cool, but I'm still gonna try and like go Web go. So I never liked that.
It's
part.
fun watching the dork kind of just fall
Fall into it and
Literally.
then like it not go well. Like he's not even trying to figure it out. It's just
It's survival.
yeah.
Because it would be, as like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids like has showed us.
No,
like
my
when you're
gosh.
small, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good exposition of how the suit works, like the mechanics of the suit.
Yeah, and we're
how
not told it.
works
We get to
when you're
see it,
small.
just figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to explore that element of
Yeah.
the plot.
Does he actually get stepped on in that little dance
I
party?
think he does. There's a little
he gets,
crunching
like,
sound effects.
It's like a glass heel or something
Yeah.
like that. But like the inside of like the heel is hollow. So like he gets stepped on, but he's like in the inside of the hollowed heel.
What?
You
Wow.
see his reflection.
How do you see
That's so
that?
fortunate. I didn't see that.
Well, that's why how he's getting stepped on, but he's still okay. But you see his like reflection in like the glass of the
I
heel.
kind of
Oh,
assumed that
I
he
don't
was
remember.
just behind it. or
That it could also be that too. Or it could be a hollowed out
I
heel.
don't even remember that little bit.
Anyways,
It's like an action figure, like how it has like the pegs at the
Yeah.
bottom, so you can stick them in the.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
He survives.
Yeah.
And he falls into the next room.
It's all fine.
Yep, and then he ends up in prison. Hank breaks him out, which is super fun.
The
Getting
breakout is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the like when Ant-Man is small, when he's like with the ants, the special effects are phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
It looks
yeah.
beautiful
So
the whole
good.
time.
Well, it
Yeah.
doesn't take you out of the movie
Totally.
at all. Like it
Even though it's
only,
completely CGI.
it only immerses
Yeah.
you further.
Yeah. Special effects for this movie are some of my favorite
Yeah.
in any Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're solid throughout. There's nothing that like makes me go like, ugh, like that's really obvious or noticeable.
The only thing that's like a little like CGI like for me and just gets a little nasty is the lab explosion
when it
goes boom.
all like
And then it just disappears.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's the only
Yeah.
part where I'm just like, that doesn't look
That's
as
as
good
close
as
to
everything else.
that's as close to
But
a blue
Yeah.
sky beam as we're gonna get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But everything else in this film like looks fantastic visual effects wise.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, shout out to the design of Ant-Man's suit. To me, it's like one of the best designed suits
yeah.
in the MCU.
I
And
like-
a huge challenge like to get that suit right, and it looks awesome.
I like how the helmet is pretty much the same from the comics.
Yeah, it looks so cool.
Yeah.
And then also like the yellow jacket suit is equally as awesome and terrifying.
Oh,
We'll
it's
talk about that
menacing
more when
for
we get to-
sure.
Very
Yeah.
evil
We'll get
looking.
that when we
Yeah.
when we talk about the villain. So then after we get through like the escape from the police the police headquarters and stuff, we get to all the bajillion exposition scenes
Is
that
it-
really drag down the movie for me.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's necessary to explain how the suit works, explain how the quantum realm works, explain all the character dynamics, but it's just a whole lot of explaining.
And it's a lot of just and the thing is it's not even like layered or dynamic. It's just Hank like just talking to Scott. And
A little bit of
like
hope.
I get that that's realistic. Well, not even really hope. Like
She doesn't say a whole lot. She just like cuts down like Hank and leaves and cuts down the whole plane.
exactly, she doesn't even really have the most she explains is like the punching thing, and then like she talks about like how like her mom died and then her dad never told her.
She talks about how the controlling ants thing works.
That's true, but that's better because that's not even like exposition so much
That's
as
a
like
character moment.
a character moment, like where she's not even really like telling him like the science of how it works. She's like, this is what you need to do to like get it right.
Yeah, the training montage is a lot
I actually
of fun.
really like the little penny flip thing.
Yeah, the training montage is fun. I like getting to see all that, but it's just all the expositions in and around it. The exposition scenes in and around that really just like kind of bore me. We were all kind of looking at each other and just kind of yawning. During
Yeah,
that
we literally
whole,
did,
like
yeah.
a solid 15
It
minutes.
drags
of
the
movie.
energy down. Yeah,
It really
It's
does.
Just, yeah, it
I'll
makes-
say my impression is they were trying to do something, which I think a lot of this movie is kind of contrasting like the cliche action adventure comic book movie with the quippy like unexpected humor. And that's a lot of
that you get from like
that's a
characters
lot
like
of
Scott and
yeah,
having the ants
that's a lot
involved.
of what this movie does is it's kind of like it's kind of riding that line, working that contrast.
Yeah.
And I think also I will say as like someone who has read a certain amount of like comics that there is a lot of exposition that goes on in comics.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And there are a lot of really cool punchy moments, but there are also a lot of moments where you're just reading stuff and you're like, this is just a lot of things that I just need to know in order to understand what is going to happen later in this comic.
But the best writing in anything is when you understand the universe, but you keep moving and you still understand. You're not dragged down by
So
talking heads explaining everything all the time.
watching Ant-Man this time, I felt like they were kind of trying to do something like emulate the comics, emulate that sort of energy that you have when you read like a Marvel comic. I think, in my opinion, they landed too heavy on the exposition. Like there was just a little too much, and it was just a little too like repetitive.
Yeah.
That it just kind of drags the movie down a little bit. But I think I understand what they were trying to go for. They just kind of, it seems to me like they got a little bogged down.
I'll say like as a bonus, it is pretty much like it's long and it's not like, and when you think about it, you're like, Oh, this is just all like exposition, like explaining these rules. That way we can be aware of them for later. But it is pretty much consolidated to like 1 and 2 scenes within like, 15 minutes of each other.
Well,
Like,
and then there's all of Darren's monologuing.
but that's
even
not,
at the end.
That's
But
not really
but
like.
yeah, it's not really exposition. It's just boring, just villainy.
That's true, but like Hank has to explain his relationship with Darren, his relationship with Hope, his relationship with his wife, and then like his relationship with Shield.
So many different
And
dynamics.
then,
How the suit
like,
works.
how
Oh,
the
blah,
suit
blah, blah,
works,
blah.
how the quantum realm
It's a
works,
lot.
how like pin
What is
particles work, how
subatomic?
ants work, like, and all this stuff.
This is
But-
how my wife died.
So how would we have done it? How could it be done better?
That's what I was just going to
I have
ask.
no
I'm
idea.
not, I'm not smart enough for that. Screenwriting
I'm
is
just here
not
to
what I do.
judge.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
boring to watch that much exposition.
would
And
you
it really
would you
directs on the
rather
energy
it
of the
be
film.
scattered throughout or like
All
I think
in one
it is
place and
scattered
just get it
throughout.
over with.
I think
Yeah.
it is scattered
But
throughout.
in
but
this
I'm-
movie, it's scattered.
I'll
I'm just not
say-
sure how to.
I
I
don't
think-
know that it's as scattered as some other. It's not as scattered as 20 million convergence expositions.
But at least I was laughing at those.
But you're laughing because you're like, oh, here's another one.
Here we go.
I was laughing because I was having a good time.
Yeah.
This was just it was
I
a
think
lot.
possibly they should have been more selective about what they exposited. Because, yes, things like plot devices like subatomic and how the suit works, etc., like those are things we probably need to know that we can't get anywhere else. But things like character relationships can and should be established in other better ways
Like
than
through
talking.
Yeah, like through
Yeah.
interactions and scenes.
But the problem with like, I think there's another issue when you introduce a character like Scott and you think about the plot. He's this outside person, and he literally says to like Hope, he's like, "I'm here because I'm expendable. I'm here to get like paid to do like a job." And he's this outside person who kind of needs this information to do his job. And like, how are they going to get him that information? I think in a realistic world, they would just like be like, here's all the information. We're telling it to you.
that doesn't mean I want to watch it.
No. So how do you then?
Well,
how
I
else do you
think
do it?
realistically,
Do you just have a line like later on where like Scott meets Cross and he's like, "Oh yeah, Hank told me all about you." ...
It's not the worst idea.
We wouldn't know what's going on, though.
Yeah,
We would have no clue.
Well, I mean, like,
I mean, a
because then
little
you
bit.
could see stuff.
Still wouldn't
we
care about
already
Cross.
see stuff between Hank and Cross. Yeah, still
Yeah.
wouldn't care about him.
Yeah,
So
let's while we're on like some of our critiques, let's talk about
I think
Cross.
let's get into Cross. He's had plenty of scenes at this point.
Cross
He's
is
Obadiah
bottom
Stane.
tier cliche Marvel movie
Yeah.
villain.
Oh,
He's
Okay.
Obadiah Stane 2.0.
Okay.
He's
I
Obadiah
think.
Stane,
He's got
Justin
the same
Hammer,
motives.
Guy Pearce.
Yeah,
like
they're all
Jeff
alike.
Bridges is way
I just
Jeff
I
Bridges
just
is way
listed
better.
all the
Way
Iron Man
better.
villains.
because it's all bad it's all bad businessmen with
Yeah.
personal connections to the hero.
Yeah.
I know
He just
that
wants to
the
there,
create.
anti-hero.
He wants to create like a group of
Thinking he's
soldiers,
right.
sell them to the army.
Jeff Bridges did it first, and he did it best. We need to stop.
He's too crazy, too fast.
Yeah, so they talk about how like using the suit is detrimental and affects you, and that's alluded to, but they don't go a whole lot into that. My question is how much
Makes
is
you
it
moody.
affecting
Makes you antsy.
affecting Scott Lang? They're never
Yeah.
clear
well,
on
no,
that.
because Hank says if you wear the specialized helmet.
Specialized helmet.
That's what he says
Oh.
to Scott. He says if you don't wear a specialized helmet, it will affect like your physiology.
So we're
that
seeing
is why
Darren Cross. So
Cross,
you're saying
because-
Darren Cross is like using like his version of the pin particles
Yeah.
without like the proper suit.
Yes.
Or maybe it's just
Okay.
like open
I
exposure
would have liked to have
them.
seen that.
I think that's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear from the film.
I mean, it's
from the
hinted at-
exposition.
It's hinted at from the exposition, but I think I would have rather like seen that and had that be more clear and not have like this that they bring that up and like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I think if they'd set that up and build that up,
No, they
without
set it
sitting-
up like from the first
Well, for
time that Hank
Hank.
talks about Cross to
No, but-
to Scott.
But he's not saying that the pin part like his version of the pin particles are messing with his mind.
Well, he said
I think it's
That's
later
what
in
I'm
the
talking
film.
about.
I think it's like 3/4 of the way through when he says
no. He
that.
says no. It's like in the beginning. He says like if you don't use a specialized helmet, this is what's happened. It's affecting his mind, and he wasn't all that stable to begin with. That is a line
Is
that
it?
happens
If it
like
is,
in the first
then I
time Hank
missed
talks
that.
about it.
Then I missed that.
Yeah.
I
I'm
was
pretty
bored
sure.
at
I'm like
exposition.
90%.
He was young.
He's
He's
zoned
young.
out.
This is,
We
the
clocked
hypocrisy
out.
of what I'm saying. Give me more exposition. I want to understand this, but I didn't miss that line because there was so much exposition. That's
Just
where
give
I'm
us what we want, movie makers. Just,
But
just
not all of it.
Bow to our whims.
But what do you
But
want?
not all
We
that
don't know.
fast. I'm sleeping.
But that's the thing with just art and entertainment in general is you're gonna make something, and you can't even necessarily predict what people want. You have to make what you're satisfied with and what you think is a good piece of art or film or whatever. Because at the end of the day, people are gonna like it or they're not gonna like it. And I think most of the time, people don't really know what they want. We go and we see something, and then we're like, "Yeah, that was great. That's exactly what I wanted." And then we go and see something else, and we're like, "No, that was terrible. I thought I wanted
That
it."
isn't what the
But-
movie set up. Raised parents mean something. Blah, 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 blah.
Exactly. Anyways, Cross.
Kind of along that line, I know we've talked about it leading up to this recording, and I know that in general you guys are not a fan of Cross, and I think I agree that he is a cliche, but I think this whole movie is kind of a cliche. So
I don't think cliche is the word.
Yeah,
because that's negative.
it
No, it's
kind
just
of
playing.
is.
No, it's playing within the.
it's playing on
within the
cli-
tropes.
It's playing on the tropes, and I think I think in Cross's defense, he is sort of portraying the trope of a comic book villain, and in his defense, I think he does a good job as an actor of portraying that. I think that he plays the crazy well. He plays this, we see his motivation. We see the rejection. We see, and we see this guy who is he's just gone. He is just sort of gone insane, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. He's very controlling. But you also see him right on the edge of just sort of madness.
Problem is I've seen that 5 other times up to this
But
point.
that, I think that his portrayal is still good. I know that it's cliche and that it is a trope, but in his defense, I think that he does a good job.
He gives the best of what's on the paper, but it doesn't mean I think it's good.
The
and I
flaw
wanna
is
see
more
it.
in the character than in the acting.
Yeah.
Or
think-
just that cliche.
I'll give points for the relationship with Hank. I think that's something.
I like all that on paper,
Yeah.
but as far it's just awkward for me to watch, and I don't like it.
I don't like the stuff where he where Hank is showing up to stuff. My favorite scene in all of that, the little relationship mentor mentee or whatever, is when he's in their house. That's actually, I think, Cross outside of the yellow jacket suit, his best scene. You feel they open the door and he's there, and even though you're me as the viewer, I'm what the crap? How can he just be here? But he also is wearing a leather jacket and gloves, he
because
was there to
he
break
came
in.
to kill him.
Did he
says.
really?
Oh my gosh! Did you
Did you
guys
miss that?
listen to this?
I-
Did you
I
even
listened
watch
to-
this movie?
He said he came here. He came there to kill him that night.
He's telling Hope.
but he couldn't because Hope was there,
And he
He
wasn't
said-
ready to kill
Yeah.
her.
and he wasn't ready. But he's
Yeah.
ready to kill her now.
So that explains why he was wearing black leather gloves.
Okay. Anyways,
You're not gonna kill people
No.
in purple and pink.
Nah,
yeah.
I look like an idiot.
I like that scene because he opens the door and you feel the menace, and you feel the frick, this guy,
The Phantom Menace.
What does he do? And I like the moment where they're kind of having this coy conversation about kind of back and forth about the particles and secrets and mentorship. But then as he leaves, that's when he's he just asks him the question that
And I like the
haunts him.
phone call that he makes to Hope
Yeah.
afterwards, even though we later find out it's all bullcrap.
Yeah.
A ruse.
But just for me as a whole, he's just very cliche.
Yes.
Evil businessman with personal ties that goes a
His
little crazy. I've
motives
seen it a
are
bajillion
really
times,
are really
and I'm not
poor.
particularly taken by the performance either, even though it's adequate.
I'll say though, Yellow
kinda awkward.
Jacket.
Yeah.
is
Once he
sick.
puts
Yeah.
on the suit. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's sick.
let's get into the final heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all the ant stuff.
Oh, it's so
super
good.
creative. But I'm ready.
And I love how they all work as a team.
Yeah, I'm ready to see even more of that.
Yeah.
in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And like based on the trailer, that's pretty much what it seems like we're gonna get. It's more heisty things, more like
I want more playing
slow-mo.
with that technology, more playing with
Yeah.
what you can do with ants, what you can do with
what you can
like,
blow up and
the
make big.
shrinking-
And yeah.
That's a lot of my favorite scenes is the ant scenes in the movie, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because there's so
Totally.
many different types of
They're
ants.
so
They're
inventive.
exciting. There's so many things they can do with it. It looks beautiful. Yeah. Totally.
I like how
Aaron's rating on this movie 10 out of 10. Needs more ants.
Need more ants.
yeah.
Every time.
That is one thing that really does make this movie unique.
all the ants,
Yeah, and the use of them and their animation.
except for that one scene in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids when they fight like a big.
I have
Or no,
not
the
It's like
ant
a
finds
it's like a
spider.
practical
seen
ant, too.
that movie.
You
Really?
haven't?
Okay, I think one time I went to
It's the prequel to
like,
this movie.
Disneyland. I went to Disneyland and there was like one of those 3D
yeah, the 3D
things.
ride.
and
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
so terrified of that. I had to
A
leave
snake
in like
comes out into the audience.
I had to leave in like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I was one of the kids that went to the usher in the back with the flashlight because I couldn't handle it.
Like fun set trail. That was me at Star Tours. So when I was
For
a
real?
kid, this is before I knew anything about Star Wars, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan now. Just for the listeners to know, I thought I was so afraid. I was crying, screaming outside of Star Tours because I thought they were going to take us and launch us into space, and that we wouldn't be able to make it out. Seriously,
That's amazing.
I was screaming and crying and was terrified. I remember every moment of that. I was
wish
like
they were
3,
launching us to space.
and I thought I was getting launched into space, and I thought I would never see my mom and dad ever again.
That is
That's
understandable
so
that you would be afraid of that.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
They should make
heartbreaking.
it more clear. That
Yeah, they
you are
should
not, there
make
should
it
be
more
some sort
clear.
of disclaimer.
We don't want an immersive experience. We want to know exactly what we're getting into.
Yeah, that was the first thing with my first experience with Star Wars was
Ooh,
Star Tours, and
that's
that
rough.
terrifying experience.
Yeah.
I think it turned out okay in the end.
But speaking of like immersive experiences, I think the ants like are throughout the whole heist. They're there to like get in. He uses them to like wipe out their servers, like the little ants who conduct electricity. How he like surfs on like his little ant made raft.
I love how
like,
he
all the
can't.
flying.
I love how like he can't. They're not like a thing that he can just call on to solve all his problems. Like in that moment, they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I love that he has his ant team, and he goes in with his specific ant teams,
Yeah.
and they do their specific tasks. And it's not like this, like get out of jail, like free card that he can
Yeah.
just get ants, and where everything's fine.
Yeah. I do like though that he in his final fight with Yellow Jacket that like he does bring them in though. Like he goes into the little carpet and then he like
And he
like,
runs out and
gathers
they're
up
all there
a whole bunch
behind
of
him.
ants with
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, I love. So they get in, they do all the heisty things. Luis is being funny.
I love all the stuff with those three. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, I
solid.
love all the stuff in the van too. Like
Yeah.
how they like mess with the cop car, how they're like
Although,
trying to get
classic-
trying to hack the system while
Yeah.
like the cops are trying to get in the
Classic
van.
movie trope of like a loading bar and it's like it's almost there.
Gotta
it's
have
almost
it.
there.
It's like the ticking time clock or like the
Yeah.
red wire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Cross knowing that they were like that they were going to break
Didn't
in?
care enough about him to care any other way.
I think there's. I'll bring up this negative that I have. I think there's a couple of places in this movie where there's some pretty convenient like kind of just plot gaps or plot jumps, like the key, and maybe you could say it's like Hank wants them to break into his house, but like the keys thing.
Like how he like tips off the one girl, then like, gets back to Luis. That's like way convoluted, but I don't care because it leads to like such a fun sequence anyway.
But then there's like other stuff like the cops, like what's this? It starts with a P. Paxton.
You keep wanting to call him
his,
Braxton.
I know. Paxton and his partner like just show like Scott is fighting Yellow Jacket. They've been flying in a helicopter, and we see them tracing the helicopter. Like they're like following it in their car
instead of taking care of the explosion that just happened.
Yeah,
They
but if
were
the
too
two
worried about
guys
the
fell out
helicopter.
of the sky in a briefcase and landed in a pool, like they just happened to get right to the right house. Because the helicopter would have kept flying. Why
And
did
then
they
they
keep
walk
following
into
the
their
helicopter?
backyard. Then they walk into the backyard and just tase Scott.
Like they're just right there. They know he's there.
Yeah.
Well, most likely
Did those people
they
call the
were
police?
listening.
There's traffic
to
to
the
get over the Golden
police
Gate.
report.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the police reported an incident
At that house.
in the general vicinity where they thought he might be.
I
And
just
they're
can't-
like, that sounds like Scott.
It's just too
I just can't get
convenient.
over
It's
it.
too fast.
Yeah.
They cover too much ground in too little time.
I just can't get over that there was just an explosion at a huge building.
But
And
you
it was
know
just-
what?
And
And
they're
they
still
already
going
just
after
ditched
it.
it.
And they don't even care.
They didn't go back for the perps in the van that they just conveniently left on the ground, not handcuffed and
yeah,
secured.
they don't
Yeah.
even know that Scott is like he gets there, like the mask opens and he's like, wait, Scott? Like why would they think to go after that helicopter in the first place?
because the plot demanded it.
Like,
Yep.
for all they know, it was somebody in the helicopter escaping the exploding building.
Yeah. But so what do you guys think of that meeting of all these Hydra, the Ten Rings, and all these other people trying to buy the Yellow Jacket suit?
I think it's cool nods. I don't really care.
Yeah, I like the Hydra and the Ten Rings getting name dropped, but I like that's kind of like Darren Cross's final grand plan, and I love all the action that comes after that. And then when we get to the Yellow Jacket scene, that's when for me I really start falling in love
Those
with,
are
with
great
this
moments,
movie.
yeah.
That from when the Yellow Jacket scenes starts fighting in the helicopter to the end is probably my favorite part of
Yeah.
the movie.
Oh, it's so much fun! When they're in the suitcase, you
Oh,
know,
yeah,
the
they're
whole
playing
suitcase shows the
Cure.
outside view. It's
Yeah.
just falling. It's
And
so
I-
minuscule in the real world,
And then
but it's
they
so
shoot the
epic when they show.
helicopter, guys.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that
just-
whole final fight, like what you're saying, it's so great how they keep juxtaposing the
Yeah.
real world or the big world, all the stuff with the little train engines.
Oh, that's
and
the
how
best.
they keep zooming in and out and
Yeah.
you hear them and it's loud and massive and intense music, and then you zoom out, the music fades, and
Yeah.
it's just
Then the train hits Yellow Jacket, it just falls over.
yeah,
It
and it's just
jumps
a
out.
little
Yeah.
clicky.
It's
clap.
also
Little click.
such a break also from what we just saw before in Age of Ultron where cities are getting
The whole
destroyed,
cities.
so much destruction.
Yes.
I love how small the property damage is.
Yeah,
It's one house.
That one
Comparatively
house.
speaking.
Yeah,
There's a hole in the
One
wall.
house, one helicopter, one lab.
You
Those
put a
guys
big
are
hole in the
cool.
wall.
yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. So I love the final battle, Tom's tank engine, all that stuff's great. I love that the personal stakes of it. It's all at Cassie's bedroom. All that stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also I love him going subatomic as well. I completely buy that moment that Cassie was going to die and Paxton was going to die if he didn't do this right now.
Yeah.
And it's Scott's inventiveness that gets him out of it.
It is a little convenient, and I totally agree with you, Logan. I buy into it. I think it sells, but it is sort of just the most convenient because it's
What?
because we had the whole exposition
What's convenient?
with Hank about subatomic and the whole story with him and Janet and
But that's important story stuff that you need to know for the dynamics of him and his daughter.
well,
Hank
it
and his
seems
daughter.
to me that the fact that they went into so much detail was purely to set up the way in which the film.
But it wasn't that.
concludes.
It was dealing with character stuff as well as foreshadowing, which
Like
I just
Ant-Man
there
and
is
the
a
Wasp.
lot of foreshadowing.
which I think is just straight up good screenwriting.
I
Yeah.
think it is.
I
It
think you're
seems to
right.
me, it seems it's just a point to point tie in, right down to the fact that the suit is made of titanium, as was the bomb that Janet went subatomic into. To me, it's connect the dots, and it is very simplistic. But I still I still buy it.
I don't think connect the dots is a bad thing in this. I think it's just good screenwriting.
I think sometimes it
I think
can
if
be.
you went
but
into quantum realm not knowing what that was, you'd be like, "What the frick is going on?"
I think that's true,
And it would mess up the whole ending of the
No.
movie for you because it would
Yeah.
distract from
Yeah.
the relationship and character stuff that comes after when he comes back.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's bad or that they shouldn't have had it. It just
Yeah.
it does seem to me to be I'm just it is very simplistic.
It satisfies our curiosity because earlier we hear about it, then we get to see it.
Yeah,
I
see what it
just
looks
think
like.
that's good screenwriting.
Yeah, I
And
love
it's
it.
such a trip.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I love how wacky it gets towards the end.
I think
So
it's
much fun.
funny.
Shout out to Thomas the Tank Engine going through the house.
Yeah.
So sick. All about it.
The most negative thing I have about that isn't that he goes into the quantum realm or that it's contrived or anything. It's if anything, what Cross is like, of course it's made of titanium. like when he's like, I can't get through, but I have to. And then he's like, well, of course you can't. It's made of titanium.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Gosh.
like Cross's like villainy one-liners that he throws out like during the final battle that it's super groan worthy.
Yeah.
It's
You were
not
actually groaning.
I was
Like every single one of them.
yeah, it was so bad. It was, but it wasn't. It was like on the level of like Ares and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
All his like,
Ares.
you were made to be ruled, Diana. Like all that sort of stuff. If you're gonna like have your villain be quippy in the final battle, please not have me let me think of like Batman and Robin. That's what I'm asking for. Yeah. Anyway,
Cassie, you haven't seen Batman and Robin? Oh man,
you've seen Bible Man. It's the same
we'll
thing.
watch. We own it. I'll show you.
So before we like start ranking this Marvel movie, I realized we forgot something very important.
Oh yeah, I was waiting.
Falcon. We forgot Ant-Man and Falcon.
That's like the
I'm
best
glad
scene
you and I are on
too.
the same page. That's
Yeah.
why we're hosting.
Bruh.
Man, so great.
That
The Avenger we could afford.
And I like how
not
they.
afford. I want more Falcon, and I love Anthony
He's
Mackie.
fun for this movie. Yeah.
I like how they fit it in.
I love
though.
his dynamic with
Yeah.
Scott.
Like the whole thing where Hank has like this old file. He thinks it's just this old warehouse, and then
It's 'cause
it's
it
like,
was.
yeah. And
It said Stark
they
on his
break through
picture
the
he
clouds,
had, yeah.
and I love
And
how
it's not
the
Stark.
two of them are like,
GT.
pull out, like get out,
Yeah.
leave.
That
abort,
whole
abort.
sequence, like, totally, like foreshadows what his dynamic's going to be like with the
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah.
You watch that sequence, and I'm like, oh, this is like post Civil War. It's like, oh, this is exactly what Civil War is.
Mm-hmm.
And I love like his relationship with Falcon.
Yeah,
It's so much
I think
fun.
it's very fun. It's
Action's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think, Falcon just does a great job in that scene. He's exactly what he should be, and it's
so
just-
much fun.
It's funny,
And it's such a great
to
time.
watch.
And it's great getting to see the new Avengers facility in play
Yeah.
and seeing a new Avenger in play 2
Doing
months
stuff.
after Age of
Age
Ultron
of
when we
Ultron,
just
yeah.
set all that up.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And I'm glad we didn't have to wait all the way to Civil War just to get more time in that part of the universe.
Yeah, and it's a cool tie-in because he's the one who's like, I know a guy.
yeah, I think this movie does a good job of tying itself into the rest of the MCU.
Universe, totally. It's like, it's separate. It's in San Francisco, but it's still very much tied into the fabric of the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think my last talking point, and maybe if you guys have anything else, but before we get to our rankings, is Hope and Scott. What do we think of that?
I ship it.
It's whatever. It's fine.
Well, it's not what the movie is about, but I think it's their like kiss and the like blossoming of their relationship in the end is totally justified.
I think it is
Yeah.
justified. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we see a lot of mutual checking out
Checking out
going on.
Yes.
And there's
It's-
definitely chemistry there.
It's building their relationship, and it's going to add to the dynamic of the next movie.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not like
yeah.
they are like married at the end. Like they just
Just a little-
acknowledge
just a little smoochy
they just
smoochy at the
acknowledge the mutual attraction that's there.
Yeah, and I think that's totally what that is, and I think you're right, Aaron. I think we're gonna get tons of it in,
Oh yeah.
in
yeah.
the next movie
For sure.
And I'm looking forward to it. Actually, maybe this is too high of expectations. Being like maybe the best. I think it has potential to be the best romance that we've had in the MCU. Like substantial.
Steve and Peggy would have an
Steve and
argument.
Peggy.
Would have an argument with you.
I'll take that, but
really
like
over like
but multiple films.
But they're gone.
Oh, for
Yeah,
Stark
they're
and
done.
Pepper?
Yeah, because Peggy's
Yeah.
gone.
They're done.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not like I know
Oh.
Logan's really into it, but I'm not as big a fan of like Tony and Pepper.
I know it's blasphemy.
They're not my
Grateful.
characters.
I've
I
never
don't-
been a yeah. I side with you on that.
Okay,
I've never
thanks,
been a huge
Aaron.
Pepper
Yeah.
fan. I don't know. I like Pepper, but it's not my
Pepper.
thing.
what is
Awesome.
not to like about Pepper?
Well, there's a lot of things in Iron Man 3. But
Yeah.
That's the movie's
Listen,
fault. It's not
I'm
Pepper's
okay
fault.
with Tony being a playboy. I don't need him to like find somebody. I'm okay. Like
Yeah,
I like it, and I do like their relationship, and I like that they like settle down and that Tony's learning all that
the
stuff.
first film
I'm okay
establishes
with
him
all
as a
that.
playboy.
Yeah.
and
But the point is the conflict within himself between his natural philandering nature
we get
and the perfect woman for him. It's not simplistic. It's a great, it's compelling. It's realistic.
I don't think it's simplistic either.
No,
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cassie and I are tracking.
Good portrayal.
Let's talk about our ranking. So I had this movie at almost dead center. I had it at number 10 in my MCU ranking before I watched this movie, and it's the exact same spot. So just going through my ranking, number 1, I have Winter Soldier. Number 2, Civil War. Number 3, The Avengers. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Number 6, Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 7, Thor Ragnarok. Number 8, Black Panther. Number 9, Iron Man. And number 10, Ant-Man. With below it, I have 11.
You don't have to go through all of them.
Number 12, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 13, I'll just stop there.
You don't have to list them all out every time.
I like. This might be someone's first episode. Remember what Stan Lee said about comic book, writing a comic book?
What?
Every issue could be someone's first issue.
Yeah.
Aww.
And then he wrote,
like that.
"See issue this."
Also true.
Oh my gosh.
Your friendly Stan.
Yeah. Cassie, where would
do you have a list, or do you have maybe a generalization?
I do not have a list, but I would say, I'm just thinking about it now, I would put this under Doctor Strange and over Iron Man 3. Probably.
Well, sure.
That's a very big gap between those movies in quality.
Probably, yeah. Just to give you an idea, I would put it under movies like Doctor Strange, Iron Man 1 and 2, Cap, First Avenger.
You would put it over these?
No, under.
I about had a heart attack.
No. This is all wrong. Yeah.
Not my universe.
Iron Man 2 is still down there for me.
It's kind of...
I love Iron Man 2.
That's 16 for me. Yeah,
God.
that's way down there.
I think I like...
14 for me.
I did not like Thor Ragnarok very much.
Okay, let's
That hurts
save that
me.
can of worms
That
for
hurts
later.
me.
So
Let's stay.
I'll say
Oh,
but I think Ant-Man and
Piss off, Ghost.
I'll say I didn't like it as much as everybody else did, because what I'll say next is I think
hella
for
dumb.
me, Ant-Man and Thor Ragnarok are kind of around the same level and feel for me. I know they're not compatible. They're very different movies, but as far as my the likelihood of me choosing to watch them on a Friday night, they're about the same.
It's high for Thor for me.
I'll watch Ragnarok.
that hurts me.
So Ant-Man right now.
That hurts.
Let's not skip Aaron.
No.
Do you want to go? What? We're not.
Are we going in
Skipping Aaron.
in X?
We're
going in an
best
X
for
or
last.
something?
For the listeners, we're going in in an actual clockwork circle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
just
Clockwork
almost broke.
circle?
Clockwise.
Counter. We're going
Clockwork
counter, right?
Orange. I was thinking of
Clockwork
Clockwise
Orange.
and Clockwork Orange for some reason at the same time, and the wires got crossed there.
But that was going counterclockwise, though. It started with you, and then it went to her.
Yeah, we're
And
going clockwise.
No, that's
We can go with
Oh,
Aaron.
that is clockwise.
In
Yeah, I
my
was thinking-
defense, none of this matters.
backwards.
And also, they're just listening
It
to a
matters to my
podcast.
ADD
They have
brain.
no
Anybody
concept.
can go.
Yes.
But go ahead, Aaron.
Go
I'm gonna
ahead,
let you-
Aaron.
I have a full written out list here. And
Boom.
I have Ant-Man
Looky there.
I have Ant-Man at 10 as well. However, I
Heck
have
yeah,
I have
roommates
different,
for the win.
but I have different rankings above that.
What's
for
in
me.
and around it?
I'm going to give you guys my top 10 because listeners never heard my top 10 before. So
It's because he made this list 5 minutes
You
ago.
heard it here
no,
first,
I've
folks.
been correcting this list over the last 3 weeks. So
Okay.
Sick.
okay, so I got Civil War at 1, got Avengers at 2, Winter Soldier 3, Thor Ragnarok 4.
Ooh, it's ballsy, and while I don't agree with it, I love it
I
that
put
you're
that
doing
high.
that.
I love Thor's always been my favorite, and
I
this
remember
movie
you
delivered.
telling me how much you loved it.
Yeah, that's 4 for me. I got Black Panther at 5. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, 6.
Yeah.
Cap First Avenger 7. Guardians of the Galaxy 8. I have Spider-Man at 9. I like
Okay.
Spider-Man, and then Ant-Man at 10.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
All
That's
right.
sick.
And everything else is below it. Huh?
Everything else
That's
below
sick.
it.
Wow, you didn't list Iron Man up there.
That's
huh?
12 for me. Well, it might be 11. Age of Ultron in those. I gotta watch Age of Ultron again.
Okay, so here's my thing. And I said this actually in our last podcast about Age of Ultron, is that it might have switched having seen these. Oof. Right now, Ant-Man's at number 12 for me.
Okay.
Below
fair.
it are just the first 2 Thor movies, the last 2 Iron Mans, Incredible Hulk, and Age of Ultron. But I'm actually going to switch Age of Ultron and Ant-Man. Wow. I think Ultron is a great movie, and I think it deserves to be a little bit higher. I think Ant-Man is good. I think it's enjoyable. But I would...
There's so many great moments in Age of Ultron, but some of its parts don't make up the whole.
I think they do. Gosh. Like, if you have more pluses than minuses, how does that come out to be bad? Tell me the math on that.
It's more like when the things are so great around it, and then there's the things frustratingly pulling it down from what the greatness that it could have been, it makes it even more frustrating.
But if you have more greatness to begin with...
If it's scale,
it makes the
teeter-totter lands on the good side, and so it's good.
Not my teeter-totter.
Just because it's not like what you thought maybe it could be, or maybe what you wanted it to be, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie.
Anyways,
No, but that doesn't
this
mean it
is
doesn't work.
Ian's opinion and his ranking. So
Age of Ultron is the most divisive thing on our podcast.
I think the first Thor.
The way the first Thor is? Oh, that's right.
You guys were going at it that whole
we were pretty
episode.
much-
I forgot
It didn't
about
help
that.
you and I were the only ones in here, so we kind of like...
You had no one to mediate.
Yeah, I think Avengers Age of Ultron is going to go above Ant-Man, but above it, I've got a whole list of things. I won't go into them because you guys don't need to hear all that. But I think maybe something like Doctor Strange or Spider-Man Homecoming or like Thor Ragnarok, I think those are all kind of up in the air, like they could get moved around. And
Yeah,
shuffled,
those are the kind of the ones that can flippity-floppity around.
Yeah.
I like this movie more than Doctor Strange,
By far.
as of this viewing.
for me,
I have seen Doctor Strange pretty recently, within the last 6 months.
Yeah, I think something like that.
And yeah, I don't think that would be the case for me.
I think I might like it more, but
I think it comes down to
I'm ready to
preference
see
with these two
Doctor
movies.
Strange.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like yeah.
We didn't even talk about the fact that like getting an origin movie in phase 2, like this far, like, you know, did we feel like we were done with origin movies or what?
I think that's one of the interesting things about like Ant-Man and Doctor Strange is they're both origin films, but they're so late in the game that it feels a little bit like a throwback movie.
And they come, they give such
Which
a
I think
different
it's a fun
spin.
thing for me.
Like, yeah, they go about like the origins in different ways than your typical. I think the reason people get burnt out on them is because we had 2 Spider-Man films, like they rebooted the series. They didn't even wait like 20 years or something to reboot. Like,
Because
It's
we want
3
more
times in
Spider-Man.
15 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Give the people
Anyways,
what they want.
let's wrap this baby up.
Sweet.
You got anything else?
Overall, my feelings about this movie are positive.
Yes.
I love this
You guys
movie.
wanna watch it
It's
again?
fun. Yeah, I'd watch it.
Right
I'd
now?
watch it again.
Not right
Not
now.
at this very moment.
I'd wait like
Tomorrow.
a month or 2.
Tomorrow?
You
Tomorrow.
and I.
Let's do it tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah.
Logan and I are going to go watch. You guys can go do it.
I'll do tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for listening and sticking in, sticking with us.
Sticking in.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, if you like Ant-Man, go ahead and comment. Tell us what you think. What are your thoughts? Is Cross the best villain?
Is Age of Ultron
Ant-Man
frustrating for you?
You can comment that on the Age of Ultron episode. But what questions can we ask about Ant-Man? Excited for the sequel? Speculation for that? Let us know. We've got our own thoughts, which we'll get to probably at a later date, closer to the film. But right now,
My question is, are we going to redo all the Marvel movies leading up to Ant-Man and the Wasp?
no, we're not. No, we're not.
Every time a new movie comes out,
I'm
you
vetoing
redo
that
them all.
right now.
Ain't nobody got time.
But yeah,
The
you
road
can,
retreading to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
oh my gosh, we'll just watch. I'll rewatch this movie before that one.
I'm okay.
Really?
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to watch this before like?
Sure, I would. It's months later.
I'm actually thinking like in the days right before Infinity War of watching like Avengers and then Avengers Age of Ultron and then Infinity
Or you
War.
could re-listen to our episodes.
Yeah, all of them. You could.
Which are
binge
basically
them.
the Spark Notes of
Boom.
the MCU.
Yeah. The little biased spark notes of the MCU.
Yeah. So if you guys could make sure to go and subscribe to our iTunes feed, so you don't miss a single episode. If it's not too much of trouble, if you could leave us a 5-star rating and a review, that'll help us a lot. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like to listen on there. Like us on Facebook. Like us on Instagram. Comment on the post. We'd love to interact and talk.
Yeah, we have a
Marvel with you.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, all of the things. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it's just at Logan Flaming on both. I like to post about all these fun nerding things all the time. So
All of our social media is at Ultimate Fan Podcast.
Yeah. That's it. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, once again,
We had a blast.
thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.